Hello, I'm Draw Nana. This video is for beginners who are starting digital drawing with the Sketchbook app. We're going to look at the most basic structure of the Sketchbook app and the main features and menus. These aren't tools you'll use every single time, but they're definitely worth learning at least once because they're part of the core functions in Sketchbook. If you want, you can follow along step by step, or you can simply watch and get familiar with where each feature is and how it works, with a light and relaxed mindset. In this lesson, I'll explain the overall screen layout and the major menus. Number 1. Basic Workspace Layout. When you open Sketchbook, you'll usually start with a blank sketch screen, just like the one you see here. This is the main workspace. At the top, you have the main toolbar. On the left, you'll see the brush panel. On the right, you have the layer editor. And in the center, there's the canvas. This is the area where you actually draw. Most digital drawing apps and programs use this same basic structure. Number 2. Top Toolbar Overview, Main Menu. Now let's take a quick look at the top toolbar functions one by one. The first button is the main menu. It contains the most essential options you need for drawing. If you tap New Sketch, you can set the size of a new canvas. When the plus button is selected, you can type in the pixel size manually. When the chain icon is selected, the width and height stay linked. So if you change the width, the height changes automatically to match. If you tap the chain icon to unlink it, you can change the width without changing the height. You'll also see a canvas preview above. And if you tap the rotate icon, the width and height swap, so you can choose between a landscape canvas or a portrait canvas. But in most cases, you won't need to type pixel values manually. Instead, tap the list next to the plus button, and you'll see many preset sizes. The very first option at the top matches your current tablet screen size. For example, on my device, it shows 2560 by 1600, but this will be different depending on your tablet model. So if you want to draw something like a tablet wallpaper, using this screen size canvas will fit perfectly. Number 3. Gallery, Save or Discard. When you go to the gallery from the main menu while you're working, Sketchbook will ask whether you want to save the current sketch or discard it. If you save, your drawing will be stored in the gallery, like this. And from now on, every time you draw, your work will be stored here. If you want to see more artworks at once, tap the button at the top of the gallery to switch to smaller thumbnails. And if you want to share your artwork, tap the menu button in the bottom right corner and choose Share. Number 4. File types, TIFF file versus JPG/PNG. When sharing, you can also export as a TIFF file. A TIFF file keeps your layers separated, so it's an editable file format inside Sketchbook. But if you export as JPG or PNG, it becomes a single flattened image, which makes it difficult to separate layers again for editing later. If you have the TIFF file, you can open it on another device with Sketchbook and continue editing the same artwork with layers. For most everyday sharing, JPG or PNG is totally fine. Number 5. Unknown File Warning. Do not delete TIFF. After exporting, the image will also be saved in your tablet's photo gallery. You'll usually see a PNG image file saved, and you may also see another file that looks unfamiliar. That unknown file is the TIFF file, so in many cases, 2 files are saved, one image file and one editable TIFF file. Here's the important part. If you delete the TIFF file from your device, editing later may become difficult or impossible. So even if you think, why is this strange file here? Don't delete it. I recommend keeping it. Number 6. Starting new sketches from the gallery. In the gallery, if you tap the plus button at the bottom, you can start a new sketch the same way we just did. If you want to import an image, you can choose options like Create New from Image or Create New from Camera. These aren't features you'll use very often, so it's enough to simply know where they are. Number 7. Back to the toolbar. Undo, redo, select, and transform. Now, let's go back to the main workspace and continue the top toolbar. If you want to go back to a previous step while drawing, tap Undo right next to the main menu. And if you want to go forward again, tap Redo. When you want to select part of your drawing, use the selection tools. You can select using lasso, rectangle, or the magic wand. After selecting an area, tap Transform to move it or flip it. You can also pinch with 2 fingers to zoom in or out. Number 8. Fill tool, paint, and ruler tools. Next, tap the Paint button to use the Fill tool. To use Fill properly, it helps to understand settings like threshold and sampling, but I'll explain those in detail in the next lesson. Next to that, you can also use a ruler. Move the ruler with your finger and draw along it to create clean, straight lines. You can also move it with 2 fingers. Depending on the situation, you may use a curved ruler or an ellipse tool, but these aren't features you'll use all the time. Number 9. Symmetry tools. Next, you'll find the symmetry tools. With symmetry, whatever you draw on one side is mirrored on the other. You can use vertical, y-axis symmetry, horizontal, x-axis symmetry, free symmetry, or radial symmetry. Symmetry is one of the most frequently used features when creating digital art. You can also adjust the number of segments to draw multiple repeated shapes at once. Number 10. Shapes, stabilizers, import, perspective, UI hide, text, and time-lapse. In the Shapes section, you can draw straight lines, ellipses, or rectangles. Next to that, there are 2 similar tools, Steady Stroke and Predictive Stroke. Both tools help your lines smoother. With Steady Stroke, Sketchbook increases the time delay between your pen movement and the line being drawn. So even if you draw a wavy line, you'll notice the line follows more slowly. If you turn it off, the line appears instantly. If you set the level very high, the delay becomes stronger and the line follows more slowly. Predictive stroke is a common feature in many drawing apps. Simply put, it helps you draw cleaner, nicer lines. If you compare drawing circles, triangles, or straight lines with predictive stroke off versus at the maximum level, you'll see the shapes get corrected and smoothed. This feature is used a lot in real drawing, especially when your lines look shaky or uneven. Turning on predictive stroke helps you draw more neatly. Next, the icon that's easy to recognize is Import Image. You can bring in a photo saved on your tablet. Tap the first button to import from your saved images, or tap the second button to take a photo with your tablet camera. After importing, you can use that image as a reference while you draw. Next is the Perspective Guide. It provides guidelines to help you draw with correct perspective. It can be very useful when your artwork needs perspective. Next is Auto Hide UI. As the name says, it temporarily hides the surrounding menus while you draw. This could be useful on a small screen like a phone, but it's not something we really need for tablet drawing. Next, tap the Text button to add text. You can change the color and make simple transformations. If you want to record your drawing process, use the time-lapse feature. When time-lapse is turned on, Sketchbook records your process as a video. Next, there's an important button called Show Interface. Sometimes people say, "Teacher, all my menus disappeared." That usually happens because this button was tapped. If that happens, don't panic. Just tap Show Interface again and everything will come back. Number 11. Layers panel and background color. For now, let's look at the layer editor on the right. On some devices, you might not see the layers panel like mine. You may see a color palette instead. That happens when the color palette button at the bottom is selected. Make sure you switch it so you can properly see the layer editor. Tap the plus button at the top to add a new layer. You can tap a layer to access more layer options. If you want to reorder layers, press and hold a layer and drag it to a new position. If you want to change the background color, tap the background layer at the bottom. You'll see the word background there. Tap it and you can change the background color. If you want to hide the background completely, tap the visibility icon, the eye icon, so the background layer is not visible. So, in this lesson, we explored the Sketchbook workspace layout and the main menus. These aren't tools you use every moment while drawing, but sometimes you'll wonder, what does this do? That's why I explained them in a bit more detail. The key features you'll use most often while drawing will be explained more thoroughly in the upcoming lessons. This was Draw Nana, and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.